Whoa, this is on sale? This is on sale too? Oh my god, this is on sale too! Are you gonna get anything?
No, I'm good.
Hey, why is my balance so low?
You ask that every month. Do you even track your spendings?
Track? I just spend.
Why are young adults overspending today? One key driver is impulse buying, which leads to unplanned and unnecessary purchases. In addition, many young adults have low awareness of their personal spending habits, making it difficult to control their expenses. This is concerning because it can lead to poor financial discipline, lower savings, and increased financial stress among young adults. We also consider other factors such as income and cashless payments usage in our analysis. This leads to our key question. Does tracking spending actually help reduce overspending? To investigate this, we used an AI-generated dataset.
So we used random sampling is when every member of the population has an equal chance of being chosen. And this then results in there being no bias, and that's how we then gather reliable results. So since our sample size is greater than 30, we can therefore apply the central limit theorem, also known as the CLT. And this basically means that the distribution of the sample means becomes approximately normal, and it therefore also follows this bell-shaped curve as seen in the diagram above. This then allows us to use hypothesis testing and parametric tests that we'll talk about later. The conditions of our data. So firstly, our data is independent, which basically means the value of one observation does not affect or give us information about another's spending behavior. And they're identically distributed, which means that all the data points derived are from the same probability distribution. And this is very important, especially when we start using statistical methods, such as hypothesis testing or confidence intervals. So in hypothesis testing, it helps us decide whether there's enough evidence to support a claim. So our null hypothesis is that the spending of trackers is greater than or equal to the spending of non-trackers, and our alternative hypothesis is that the spending of trackers is greater than the spending of non-trackers. And we get this from this line of code attached below.
Now, let's look at our hypothesis test. We set up a one-tailed t-test comparing spenders who track their expenses versus those who don't. The p-value is extremely small, far below 0.05, so we reject the null hypothesis. The numbers tell a clear story. Non-trackers spend on average $2,641, while trackers spend only $1,392. The 95% confidence interval tells us that we can be 95% confident that non-trackers spend at least $1,105 more than trackers. In short, tracking is strongly associated with lower spending. Next. I'll introduce our variables first. Our independent variable is total spending. The independent variables are impulse buying, which is ordinal ranging from 2 to 5, which 5 represents the highest level of impulse. Tracking, a 0 and 1 binary variable. Cashless payments, also binary, and income, which is a continuous variable. These four factors together help explain why some young adults overspend. Here's our regression equation. Let me highlight the key takeaways. Tracking has the largest negative coefficient. That means holding everything else constant. A person who tracks their spending spends about $681 less than someone who doesn't. This is highly statistically significant. Interestingly, cashless payments show a negative coefficient, meaning in our data, using cashless methods is linked to lower spending, not higher. That's counterintuitive, but statistically significant. Finally, the adjusted R-squared is 0.93. That means our four independent variables explain 93% of the variation in spending. However, this is possibly due to overfitting as data is generated by AI.
Now, I'll be talking about solutions to the problems. Our solutions are mostly data-driven. Our analysis identifies that key drivers of overspending is impulse buying by youths and lack of spending awareness. So our solutions are designed to address increased tracking and reduce impulsive behavior of spending in youths. And firstly, we would like to enhance spending awareness. How would we do that is using automated spending tracking apps, which tracks all the spendings that the youths do, AI-powered insights and spending summaries that the youths can refer to after they spend, and budget categorization and spending caps, a limit on what they can exactly spend and on which category they can spend into. Next up, reducing impulsive behavior. How are we going to do this? Is through spending alerts and notifications. We are going to send them alerts and notification of their spending. And then cooling off periods before purchases. So there's a certain period where they are not supposed to spend anything before buying certain stuff. And lastly, gamified savings challenges. This will drive youths and motivate youths to win the game and so-called save, which save the money and spend lesser.
Thank you, Harivartini. So, as for financial control, there are two ways. One is default savings, and another is having a spending limit on cashless payments such as Apple Pay and PayNow. So, our statistical analysis, we can derive that tracking contributes to the largest reduction in spending, while in contrast, impulse increases those spendings. Other factors such as cashless payments also are plays a role statistically, and it is significant. So there are some limitations. As Elja mentioned, our data set is AI generated, so therefore it doesn't really reflect the real world behavior of young adult spending. Additionally, if some young adults are financially literate, so they are more likely to have control of their expenses and track them. Furthermore, there's a possibility of reverse causality where the dependent variable, in this case impulse behavior, becomes the cause of overspending. Other factors such as parental income and peer pressure also to the contributes to overspending, the impulse behavior to splurge. So conclusion is yes, tracking improves the financial behavior of young adults, and they are aware of their spending and improve their impulse behavior to splurge. Thank you.